Beasts of Oblivion are among us!
Good evening, Riv here, and welcome to Elder Scrolls Online. This is my first video with ESO, and I figured that the first video that I would do would be something that I'm enjoying as of late. It's a new character build for an existing character that I had. I'm just going to switch over now and show you what I'm talking about. So this is the character I was referring to, Rivvil'iblith. Anyone who's familiar with Forgotten Realms, in particular R.A. Salvatore's Dark Elf series, Rivil is the drow word for human, and Iblith is the drow word for offal. So essentially human offal. Just a bit of a play on words there in case you're wondering what the name was. He's a Dark Elf, he's a Nightblade, he also has Vampirism. He was primarily a magicka DPS character, but I filled up my my character roster, and I just got really sick of the fake tanks that were prolific in the game. So all my characters now either a DPS or a tank, or a DPS and a healer. And then I can switch between them using the dressing room add-in. Anyone who's a PC player, this doesn't apply to console players, unfortunately. They don't get any mods. You can grab an add-on called Dressing Room, enables you to save presets for your gear, your skills, and their location on the skill bar. This is the character pane on the right over here. You can see in his tank build, he's sitting at around 30k health, nearly 30k magicka, 20 stamina, recovery is about 1 to 1.5k, 21k resistances in his passive state. Using his gear and his skills, that goes up a lot higher as well. So I'll show you the gear first. I'll give you the history on the other piece first, the Tormentor set. It's from a dungeon called Banished Cells. If you're unfamiliar with weapon sets, gear sets, the more pieces you get, the higher the bonus you get. So you can see this Tormentor set. If I have 2 pieces of it, I get an extra 1k health. 3 pieces, another 4% healing, then another 4% if you get 4, and finally if you have all 5, whenever you deal direct damage with a charge, leap, teleport, pull, whatever kind of ability that enables you to get to someone quick, you taunt them and you gain an additional 3,500 resistance fees, physical and spell resistance. I tried using this a couple of years ago when I first started playing, but I couldn't really get it to suit the build. There were either better suits of armor once you got into higher dungeons, or it just didn't really fit. I didn't really use any kind of charging abilities with my my tanks. Primarily use the Undaunted's range taunt. You don't have to travel anywhere. You can keep them all grouped up pretty easily. But yeah, I had this set and I just stuck it in the bank because I just stopped using it. The reason that I wanted to use this and make another tank was because a new dungeon that came out called the Dread Cellar, it had a set called Rushing Agony. Rushing Agony has a very similar 5th point bonus. So it's a DPS set, so you can't really use it as a tank set with armor because it's only medium, not heavy. It gives you extra stamina recovery, which when you're not blocking, gets your stamina back up quicker. When you are blocking, your stamina doesn't recover, so you've got to take your block off if you want to get some passive recovery. Additional weapon and spell damage, not really useful for a tank. Offensive penetration, once again, not really useful. It doesn't hurt, but you're not there to do damage, you're there to survive and keep everyone focused on you. So the 3rd and 4th bonus don't really apply for a tank set. What does is the 5th one, and what makes this tank quite unique and enjoyable to play. Same thing when you do a charge, leap, whatever teleport ability, you pull enemies within 10 meters into you, and after 2 seconds you do a 4600 AoE ability around you. So use that on your front bar, jump in, you taunt someone, you pull everyone close into you, you then explode, you can then use your other skills to do more AoE damage around you, all while your DPS team members are also nuking the enemies. So really good for normal dungeons. I haven't tried it on a veteran dungeon yet, but just having a bit of fun blasting through a normal dungeon with it. The last set I'm using is the monster set. It's extra stamina recovery, and then the 2-point bonus is when you take damage, there's a 6% chance that you'll get an extra 13 ultimate. You'll also get additional physical and spell resistance, so once again, a little bit more survivable and more ultimate. The reason you want the ultimate is for your skills, so I'll flick over and show you that now. Now, I like to pair my front and back bar. Anyone who hasn't played Elder Scrolls Online, it's not like other MMOs where you have a skill bar that's 1 to 0. You've got to work your way across. It has 2 bars that enable you to chop and change between the two of them, so you can have 2 lots of weapons. So on my front bar, I'm using a sword and shield. Let's see that one there. On my back bar, I'm using a staff. So you'll hear some people talking about front barring your main offensive abilities and back barring your AoE abilities if you're a DPS, or if you're a healer that's also doing damage, you can have your damage abilities on the front and your healing abilities on the back. With tanking, I tend to pair them up so you can build up the muscle memory in your hand, so you can quickly move between your movement keys and the 1 to 5 on your keyboard. So what I've done over here is I've paired up the abilities on the front to be the same as on my back bar. So we go, the first one is a charge ability. You get it from the one hand and shield skill line. Enables you to charge in, attack someone, you stun them for a couple of seconds, and it gives you a shield, which is the morph that I took. If I switch over to the back bar, I have another teleport. That's the Nightblade one. Comes from the assassination line. Teleport strike. It teleports in. It does an AoE fan of knives, and it afflicts them with minor vulnerability for 10 seconds. So it increases the damage that they take. And whenever you use these abilities, you fire off the bonuses in these 2 sets. So when I charge in, I taunt them, I gain physical and spell resistance, and then I also pull anyone within 10 meters into me. I do an AoE explosion, and then I can move on to my next skills. So the next one's obviously paired up as well. Turn Evil, which is in the Fighters Guild line. The morph that I took is the Turn Evil one, which gives a fear for 5 seconds. So when I chuck that down, any friendly person within the circle gets minor protection and minor endurance, which reduces the damage that they take and increases their stamina recovery. Any enemies in that circle, when it goes off, get feared for 5 seconds. The Mass Hysteria, which is from the Nightblade Shadow line. With the passive down here, Dark Veil, it increases the duration. It's normally only 2 seconds. 2 points into that, double it to 4 seconds. So dropping that down just fears up to 6 enemies for 4 seconds. The next one is the Blur morph for Mirage. It just gives you a 20% damage reduction from AoE attacks and increases your physical and spell resistance for 26 seconds. That's just a good one to have on anytime you're in combat. And the back bar, it's the Destruction Staff. Impulse. Now I took the Impulse morph, so it does an AoE explosion around you. It afflicts them with minor mangle, which reduces their max health by 10% for 10 seconds, and applies minor protection to you and your group members, reducing your damage taken by 5%. So this one and that one, it's all about protecting you. You can also protect your group mates with that one. The fourth one along is resource recovery. So on the front bar, I have where I'm using my sword and shield, I want stamina to come back. So I'm using the vampire ability. It costs magicka, but when you cast it, it's a 3-second channel. So if you're in a boss fight, you need to get away from the boss, because if you're not blocking, you can take some big hits. As he does a big attack or some other animation that gives you a second or 2 delay, start backing away, let go of your block, cast that. It only takes 3 seconds. It does really minor damage, only 2200, but it heals you for 25% of your missing health, and it restores 10% of your missing stamina every second for 3 seconds. So if your stamina is empty, you're getting 30% stamina back over 3 seconds. Really useful to get your stamina back up. On the back bar, I'm using the Nightblade siphoning tree. The ability is siphoning attacks. You cast it, it lasts for 20 seconds. Every light and heavy attack that you do heals you for a small amount, only 1400 health, and it restores 100 magicka every time you attack. A heavy attack doubles that, so 2800 health and 200 magicka every time you do it. At the end of it, you restore an additional 4200 magicka. So extra magicka on the back bar, extra stamina on the front bar. The last one in there are shields. So this one is from the one-hand and shield line. It's the defensive posture morph. So when you cast it, you get a nearly 10k damage shield for 6 seconds. And this scales off your health. So the more health you have, the bigger your shield. Less health, the smaller the shield. Also, the next half will direct damage projectile cast at you gets reflected back. And while the shield is equipped, the amount of damage you block is increased by 10%, and the cost of blocking is reduced by 10%. So that's really cool. And then on the back bar, I'm using the Spiked Bone Shield morph. That comes from the Undaunted line. When you cast it, it's a 9400 damage shield for 6 seconds. It returns 85% of direct damage absorbed back to the enemy. Also scales off your max health. And an ally near you can use the synergy for Bone Wall. What Bone Wall does is the ally and up to 5 group members will get a damage shield equal to 30% of their max health for 6 seconds. So that's really good in trash mobs where there's a lot of mobs running around damaging your teammates, if you can't keep them all together. Okay, now the ultimates. So the ultimate I'm using on the front bar is a PvP ultimate. It's from the support line, the Reviving Barrier. What that does is it puts a shield on you and your group mates, 2800 over 30 seconds. So biggest shield you can get for the longest duration. Really good if your teammates are struggling. It also puts a ward on them, which heals you and your group mates for 1300 health over 15 seconds. So that's your oh crap moment. Everything's gone pear-shaped. The healer's died. You need to protect everyone, keep them healed up while someone's going over to resurrect the healer. The reason I don't really use it for that ability, but it's there if needed. But the reason I have it there is because of the passive that you get. So while it's slotted, you get an extra 5% magicka recovery. I don't really PvP much on this character, but once I get that up to rank 9 up here, I can then put a second point in, which increases the bonus to 10% bonus magicka recovery. So that's why it's there. The back bar is the ultimate that I use most. It's a vampire ultimate. I took the Blood Scion morph, and what it does when you cast it, you get 20 seconds of, not invulnerability, but pretty close to it. You transform into this giant behemoth of a vampire. Your max health, magicka and stamina are increased by 10k, and you heal for 15% of all the damage that you do. It also enables you to see enemies through walls, but that's not super beneficial. Yeah, maybe in a PvP environment so you can see where someone's hiding, but in PvE, not so much. The second bonus is that bats swarm around you and deal damage to enemies for 2200 every second. So I've played around with the skills a few times, and that's what I've come up with. I've done several random normal dungeons, not veteran, and this guy just eats through them quite easily. Whether the group mates are high or low level, there's no issue. So the vampire level, so anyone who doesn't know, vampirism you can have in 4 stages. You increase the stage by feeding on the blood of whoever happens to be nearby. Most people will just go into a town, find someone who's hidden away, and feast on them. Increase your vampire stage up to stage 4. It increases your bonuses, but also the negatives that you get. I will quickly show you what they are. So for stage 1 to 4, your health recovery goes down to up to 100% health recovery. So that's no passive health regen. You have to rely on either your own healing, health potions, or your healer to keep you up. Generally, it's not a big issue, but just having that passive heal come through is quite useful. You increase the flame damage that you take. An extra 20% damage can cause you some issues if you're not prepared for it. Your non-vampire abilities increase their cost by up to 12% at stage 4, but the vampire abilities have a reduction of 24%. So if you use a lot of vampire abilities, it's really good to go up to stage 4. But I'm using the ultimate and I'm using the resource recovery, so I'm not using these other skills here, so there's no real point. I'm saving extra damage from flame, the health recovery, my other abilities are not as expensive, and I don't really use vampire, so yeah. So I keep this guy at stage 1 for that. I do have another character that I run at stage 4, but I'll get into him at the end of the video. The Munda Stone that I use is the Atronach, which just increases the magic recovery by 310. That's a carryover from DPS. I'm quite happy to leave it at that because you don't want to be resource starved and having some extra health regen or health or something like that. I think I'm quite comfortable to sacrifice that in terms of getting that magicka back so I can use my abilities. The attributes I've left at 64 points into magicka, and I've offset that with all the gear using the health enchant, so every piece has extra health on them. The jewelry, I've got stamina recovery on all of them. As I said before, stamina only recovers when you're not blocking, so you have to take your block off if you want to get that passive recovery. Damage shield on the one-handed, and reduce physical and spell resistance by 1400 on the AoE back bar. So that's all I have to cover for in here. I think we're going to jump into a dungeon and see how we go. Okay, that took about 3 seconds. So you see in the top right hand corner the 4 slots in the group, the tank and healer, and now a DPS have joined. Red Petal Bastion, okay. This is one of the newish kind of dungeons. It's not super new, but it's not an old one. Okay, just make sure I have my food up. I do. I might chuck an XP scroll on as well. See what my group mates, they're all really high level, so I don't think we're going to have any issues blasting through this. I'm not super familiar with the dungeons, so I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time I've been in here.
Something is very wrong here.
Can't wait to be chosen as an artifact bearer.
I'd like to see what we can learn here. You should press on before the Knight's Mount counters.
I can watch you. We'll catch up once you've cleared a path.
Destroy these intruders, and you may earn your place as bearers.
First boss fight.
I expected greater resistance.
From memory, this guy doesn't do a great deal. I think there's some AoE effects on the ground.
They're still here.
Nothing super special.
Everyone takes to these toys as well as me.
Sanity seems in short supply as well.
What do we have in here today?
It's a vampire ultimate.
Here goes. That's some nice tasty garbage for you. Some weather we're having, eh? What in oblivion have we got here? Something for everyone. Get yourself. You don't mind.
You are completely restored. I think. Mortal anatomy isn't an interest of mine.
It's too cold. I suppose they don't call it the Shivering Isles for nothing.
So, resource, quite fine. Health, not really an issue there.
The youth of Oblivion are among us!
I think it's town. Yeah, there we go.
In the name of the Silver Rose!
Okay, no, not this one.
You are taking a thing from us!
Yeah, there's another boss fight just coming up around the corner here.
Can you feel that? Great emanations from beyond that door.
And strongly warded. Maintaining it requires great power. There must be a source nearby. The research rocket reaches the remains.
Yeah, I think it's through this door. Yeah. So this one's quite interesting. There are 3 mobs that you've got to take care of.
Stand in the way of our divine
The tanky guy comes in first,
Powers of Oblivion ought to be worshipped.
and then eventually
They
you
are
get
to
the
be
bow
commanded.
girl, and then the two-handed guy.
I got this. There won't be much left after I stomp them into paste. Awaken fear! Get a mark! Jump in any time!
Okay, that's a Q. There's the bow girl.
You're going to get us all killed! Careful where you step! Bask in these glorious rays!
Get my boost! You can't get away from me! Take my heel! Gravity! We can't lose to these heathens! Out of my way!
Scintillating, isn't it? The light playing tricks on you!
This in your bones!
The resources got a little bit low there, but I was using pretty much
I
all of
was
them.
mistaken to share this power. To
I think what I might do is change over the potions. So I've got health and magicka potions on the bar there, but I've got a couple of thousand of those purple ones that do your health, magicka, and stamina recovery.
Made them worse.
I might start
Proceed with
chucking them
caution.
in there. And I've just fallen through. Should probably be paying attention.
Look at all of these relics. They're the source of the troubling energies I felt. They're twisting more than the knights. I need to banish the miasma before it gets any worse.
Other
I
side.
still feel more corruption beyond this room. Let's press on.
Just don't forget why you're here, priest.
Blade of Oblivion! Consume them!
There we go.
Then you take us far too lightly. Drain fell powers to the rim of all holes. This horde will need to be divided and scattered, or this will all happen again.
I'd happily
this
take them
way.
off your hands.
I wouldn't entrust anyone, mortal or Daedra, with this much power.
There are lots of chests hidden around here.
It seems the only path is down.
This is the final boss.
I feel a surge in the Daedric power. It's gathering.
From memory, this guy, he brings up waves of troops that come from one side to the other. And there's an ad or two that come through.
I have conquered countless of the prince's chosen and reaped the spoil. Bear witness to the strength of Oblivion.
Looks like a unicorn. I'll support you from the high ground.
You're pretty.
It will take far more than that to wrench this power from my grasp. Rally to me, Silver Rose! Silver Rose has its thorns! Is this the extent of your power? Because it is not the extent of mine. Defend the bastion with your lives!
There's the walls coming. everyone with that shield. I don't really need Vampire at the moment.
Tenacious fools! I will cast your broken bodies from the battlements if it's the last thing I do! Flanking maneuvers! Nowhere is beyond the reach of my blade! No! Where are you taking me? Device! Please! No!
May Azura shed a tear for this tragic end to a once noble.
Cool.
Oh no, it's nothing.
So that was it. I think the only real struggle I had there was the boss fight that had the 3 bosses in it, the second last one. I was just ploughing through my abilities pretty quickly and my resources got low. So what I'm actually going to do is change over to some of these try restoration potions. So generally I just use the Essence of Magicka and Essence of Health, primarily because I don't really use them. There's really never been a need other than the rare occasion where I'll chuck one down. But I think I might chuck those in because they do health, magicka and stamina all in one, as well as increasing the recovery of all 3 resources. So I think, yeah, I'll chuck them in now. Yeah, I might just leave it as an alternate. So I can go from health to magicka to the try one. So that's about it. What I might do is jump out to my character select window and share those other characters. So this is my character roster. The first guy I made, Sorcerer, used to just be magicka DPS. First character I played, I experimented with everything: dual wielding, one-handed shield, 2-handers. Yeah, why not play around with it? Elder Scrolls enables you to create the character that you want to play, so you're not limited. You can have a sorcerer with heavy armor, a destruction staff, and dual wielding on the back bar, and yeah, play however you want. So this is my magicka sorcerer. Is DPS, but he also has tanking abilities in the secondary spec. His one is lightning focused AoE damage, so he uses frost stars to get the tanking bonuses, but all of his skills revolve around doing lightning damage all around him. So a necromancer, he is a magicka DPS, but he's also a tank that revolves around mitigation, self-healing, shields and whatnot. Dragonite, he is your typical tank, stamina. He does have a couple of specs where he uses a one-handed shield on front and back, a one-hand on the front, a staff on the back, and a one-hand on the front and a two-hander on the back. Just for a little bit of variety in the tanking abilities. But yeah, he would be the traditional tank. Rivvil'iblith, we've already gone through. Felbar is a warden tank. His revolve around blocking. His primary mechanic. You want to block everything, so all the skills, championship bonuses, the gear that he wears, it all revolves around blocking. And one of the gear pieces that he has, when you block, you have this ice storm that circulates around you. So yeah, he's all about blocking damage. 2 nights ago, actually, the only Templar character I have, he was so these two, Brunner and he who wears tight pants, they're my healers. But being the only Templar, I thought, well, why not create a Templar tank? So he's a magicka tank, because the DPS is magicka, the healing is magicka. I figure I may as well keep that theme going through. I don't know how he's going to go in a vet, but he's a bit of fun to play as well. So yeah, he can either DPS, heal or tank. Tight pants, he's DPS or a healer. Obuld, he is a vampire, stage 4 vampire. He's DPS, and his secondary role is thief, assassin. So he does all the Dark Brotherhood, Thieves Guild stuff. If I want to go sneaking through random towns, pickpocketing and breaking into homes, he's the guy that I use. Being a stage 4 vampire, I also solo dungeons with him because he can run, and then after a couple of seconds of sprinting, he actually goes invisible. So I can actually sprint from boss to boss and kill them out there. Nilsan, he is my PvPer, so he is a stamina sorcerer. AoE is his specialty, so just run in and just decimate everything as quick as possible. I also have him as PvP, so in PvE he does 2 dual wielding, front bar and back bar. In PvP he mainly does dual bow, so front and back have bow skills on them. Just keep away from those elite PvPers that destroy me and try and survive long enough to get some points. So if you want to see any more of these, I can do some in-depth reviews of the other characters and how they're laid out. I could also do a couple of videos on the various aspects, PvP, dungeons, crafting, the game world itself. ESO has so much in it that you just can't do it in one video. So if you want to see any more, chuck your thoughts in the comments and let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.